Hello everyone and welcome to the Green Man's channel. Hope you're doing good and well. So it's time for another album review on the channel, and this time I'm talking about the 10th studio album from the Gothic metal band Lacuna Coil. This is their release Sleepless Empire, which came out on the 14th of February via Century Media Records, and the album is 11 tracks and 47 minutes in length. This follows on from 2019 to release Black Anima, an album I've actually really enjoyed since I started listening to that one, actually almost in preparation for this record coming out. And I thought that was, better than some of the albums that Lacuna Coil had released before. I thought it was, Christina sounded fantastic. I thought the songs developed pretty well, and, the Lacuna Coil formula just felt stronger and more powerful than it had done on, I think, records prior to Black Anima. So I was really, quite looking forward to this album, actually, this Sleepless Empire record. So we have, this album follows on from the departure of longtime guitarist Diego Cavalotti. It is also described as Kerrang as being bolder and heavier in approach. I think I would agree with that. I think this is a heavier, bolder album perhaps as well. And but it still has a lot of the familiar Lacuna Coil elements. You still have the vocal interplay between Christina Scabbia and Andrea Ferro, and I still think you have, that Lacuna Coil formula very much present that you've heard before on their other records. I do think, they do say that, having re-recorded Comalies and revisited that album for what was actually, I guess, strictly speaking, not the previous studio album, but the previous release of the band was another release of Comalies, their classic album from the early 2000s. And I can hear the spirit of that album on here a bit, but as I would say, or as mentioned earlier, I still think this does sound very familiarly like a Lacuna Coil record. And lots of their albums have that kind of a sound. I think, yes, it does. You can hear a bit of Comalies here, but that's the same with lots of other Lacuna Coil records for me. So whilst I think this album, that's all my general thoughts on it, whilst I think it has some good songs overall, and I feel like the singles in particular are the standout tracks for me on this record. I did find that outside of that, and sort of more within the deeper cuts of this album, didn't find so much here that really impacted me. I felt that, yes, there was an aggressive approach, but that the Christina choruses and sort of general songcraft here fell into that predictable territory, which I think Lacuna Coil have been sometimes guilty of in the past. They sometimes just fall into predictable territory a little too often. They rely on their formula a little too much, and I think that did happen here with this Sleepless Empire record. However, I do think the first half was definitely the stronger of the two halves of this album, front-loading the record with some impressive, as I say, some impressive songs like Gravity and Oxygen. I also really enjoyed the almost 3-minute I Wish You Were Dead, a sort of, cheeky kind of a Gothic anthem. Really, really good song, very catchy, very memorable. But I found that the album dipped a bit for me in quality as it went into its second half, with tracks like the title track Sleepless Empire, and Nomine Patri, I think it's called, which introduced, the odd interesting elements actually in the track. But again, by the end of the song, I felt like, I'd kind of gotten tired of the song and the album generally by that point. And it was a shame because the album started, I think, with a lot of power and a lot of gusto, but by the end of the record, it felt like it ended more on a bit of a whimper, which was a shame because after Black Anima, that album got me really stoked for this one, but I'm a little bit, just felt a little underwhelmed by the end of this one. So my final score for this album is going to be a 7 out of 10. I still enjoyed it, still think it's decent, still think it's solid, still think if you're a Lacuna Coil fan wanting Lacuna Coil, you're probably not going to be too disappointed by this Lacuna Coil album. But yeah, for me, it just yeah, didn't move me too much. Certainly by the end of the record, I wasn't feeling it. And yeah, that's why I otherwise am, I'm giving this one, I think, a 7 out of 10. So let me know what you guys thought of this record. I know it was a month ago, and I do generally try to get to new releases a bit faster than this, but I had obviously a bit of a gap in the channel because of my move. You can probably see boxes behind me for the observant amongst you. Otherwise, until next time, everyone, have great weeks, and bye for now.